they are also bound to Māyā. The Saptamātṛkās are also bound to Māyā because Shiva created them to remove this Andhaka. However, everybody in all kinds and all frequencies of energy on working here in the universe have to be under the command of Māyā, because Māyā was the first condition that creation was created. Saptamātṛkās and many other Devis in our culture that we speak about, they were created to fulfill some basic purpose on this earth, and ultimate purpose of all the Devis is transcendence and taking you back into Shiva. Easiest understanding of the Saptamātṛkās comes with Shadvargas, the Shadripus which are there, the defects of the mind. There are 6 of them and 7th is a sum total. Chamunda is a sum total. That means Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya and Ahankar, Alasya, Bhaya. Ahankar, Alasya, Bhaya come in the 7th category.
Where we have the incredible privilege, honor, blessing, grace to have Maa Gyaan Suveera with us today. She doesn't need an introduction. You just have to Google her, check her out on YouTube, her podcasts. It's an incredible story. Very, very powerful story. She's one of India's leading female and, without calling the gender, she's one of India's leading teachers and gurus of all aspects of Indic knowledge systems, Sanatan Dharma. An expert in the goddess, an expert in the Dash Mahavidya, the Brahma Gyan Sutras, and the courses that she leads every 6 months. There is a course that she teaches online, Sunday to Sunday to Sunday. So we just have to wake up and say, what's happening on Sunday, 7 to 9, we're with Ma. So it's this, the dhara of grace and knowledge, the gyan that she pours out, the way she puts it together, her capacity to speak very modern language, and the slides she makes, the symbols and the graphs that she makes are completely inspired and original. It's like, where do you come up with these things, Ma? So I've just been in awe at the way you have been pouring knowledge and making it accessible to India and the rest of the world. And she has been with us from the very first Shakti Kumbh, and she came to us in Pondicherry, Auroville as well. So from Rishikesh to Auroville and now to Puri. How blessed are we? Her session today is on the Saptamātṛkā within. How do we live and lead fearlessly as Shakti? And how perfect that many of you have already received the Kalavahana, right? So everything is flowing in divine orchestration. Sometimes I think Usha and I would like to believe that somehow we planned this, but there are many, many things that have happened very synchronistically on their own, very, very perfectly. So with that, over to you, Ma.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. Shri Matre Namah, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Yes. We do a small prayer for Ganesha before we begin. Ekadantam chaturhastam pashrama kushadharinam Haradam cha varadam hastair vibranam mushakadhvajam Raktam lambodaram shurpakarnakam raktavasasam Raktagandhanuliptangan raktapushpaisu pujitam Bhaktanukampinam devam jagatkaranam achutam Avibhutam cha shishtayado prakrite purushat param Evam dhyayati yo nityam sayogi yoginam varaha Om namo vratapataye namo ganapataye Namaha pramatapataye Namaste stu lambodharaya ekadantaya Vignanashine Shivasutaya Shri Varadamurtaye Namo Namaha. So very, very beautiful afternoon, and I've been sensing the Devi in the air since yesterday that I came. I was very fortunate to go to Sri Jagannath Ji. At the moment I landed, and such a miraculous and a wonderful darshan I had. Prayer for everyone, especially for the Shakti Kumbh, that may it blossom and bloom like a beautiful lotus. And in the days and years to come, may so many women and men be empowered with the understanding, deep understanding and awareness of the Shakti within. So today's topic, the Saptamātṛkās, I was to come a day before and speak on it, and then they were kind enough to make that adjustment for me. Yesterday you heard a story from Nilima about the Saptamātṛkās, how they have come. Shiva sitting in meditation on the Mandara Parvat, and Parvati playing with him, and wanting to allure him and disturb him from his Samādhi, and how she closes his eyes, and the energy that comes out from Shiva is so warm and so hot that her hands start sweating, and the sweat that falls on the ground gives birth to a very dark and a hideous kind of a child who was blind. And this child is named Andhaka. It is Andhasura, Andhaka. And when this Andhak grows and he does Tapascaryā and he is granted a boon that he is invincible and nobody can ever conquer him, and that makes him a king who is very, very careless, very arrogant, careless, vicious, etc. The condition that was given to the boon was that if he ever puts his glance on Parvati, Maa Parvati, his lustful eyes on Maa Parvati, then he can be conquered. So the story comes from mythology, and my purpose here is to decode the little bits of mythology that you hear, and also appreciate the cultural value there, and absolutely get rooted into the spiritual value which is there. All right. So to begin with, Shiva sitting on the Mandara Parvat. Mandara Parvat is the axis mundi of this universe. Axis mundi means the core, the center of the universe, considered to be the center of the universe, which means in each one of you there is a universe. We have a micro universe and a macro universe. In each one of you there is an axis mundi, which is the Hridaya. So Shiva is sitting in meditation means a person is sitting in meditation. A person, because each one of you has a Shiva inside. You're sitting in meditation. And then Parvati is alluring him, disturbing him. Means your own energy system and the prabhav of Māyā inside your own energy system comes and disturbs this meditation, this meditating Shiva. And she's alluring him, she's closing his eyes. That means she's not allowing the state of Samādhi. And then she starts sweating, and the sweat gives birth to Andhaka. That means your own energy system and the prabhav of Māyā in it has the ability to take you off Samādhi and disturb you and take you into Vishaya Vikar, take you into innumerable topics and innumerable things to think again. And that gives birth to ignorance. If you get disturbed in your Samādhi, then that gives birth to Andhak, which means absolute ignorance. Andhak means blind, that means absolute ignorance. If this Andhak becomes big and adult, that means if you grow in that ignorance and if you live with that ignorance, then arrogance, deceit, disillusionment, and getting lost in, blind something becomes your very nature. So the condition that was given for the boon that Andhak was, to continue with the mythological story, he was given a boon that nobody can conquer him. And with this boon came one condition, that if you put lustful eyes on Parvati, then you can be conquered. Which he did. As a king, he did. And then there was a war. There was a big battle in which he was attacked, and there were blood drops falling from him. Wherever the blood drops were there was another Andhak coming up. There was another Asura coming up, which means that when in meditation, the energy is able to disturb you and you can go and slip into topics that are not relevant to your spiritual path. You can get disillusioned, you can get lost. And this, when you're lost and there is a battle within and you want to revert back into your practices, there can be so many Andhaks that can come up. So many Andhaks that can come up. And who is going to kill these Andhaks? Shiva in the story says that he created the Saptamātṛkās to conquer these innumerable Andhaks that were born to drink the blood, entire blood. Saptamātṛkās were born, and thereafter he was conquered and was put on the trident for thousands of years. It took thousands of years for this Andhaka to realize his sins and the ill that he has done in the world. Took thousands of years, and then on realization he does Tapascaryā of Shiva and he is attained to Shiva. The metaphor being that once you get lost in ignorance, you lose thousands of lifetimes, hundreds and thousands of lifetimes to realize your path. And when you find that path, and when you realize that I am a product of all the ignorance, sum total of all the ignorance that I have lived with all my lives, many lifetimes, then you are on the trident. That means Shiva takes your responsibility and he helps you for your attainment and salvation. You know, that is the metaphor. Now this word Saptamātṛkā comes here in this story. What is this Saptamātṛkā? The Devis. Yes, we belong to this beautiful culture and we love to visualize our Devis as women, decked up, dressed up, beautifully ornamented and adorned with all the ornaments that we would love to wear. She's wearing them. We love to visualize goddesses like that. But the Vivek Buddhi tells you that there are no gods and goddesses sitting anywhere in the sky. They are all powers. They are all portals of energy. They are all, portals of energy created by human faith and human belief. You know, when you believe in something, energy is generated, and when you believe in something for thousands of years, millions of people are believing in one power. Let's say the Ganesha. There's a big portal of energy called Ganesha, risen out of human faith. And this responds, because it is consciousness itself, it responds to whatever mantra you do of Ganesha, you get energy from this portal. Similarly, Saptamātṛkās have lived. The faith has lived over centuries, over ages, and these Saptamātṛkās are exactly in correspondence with the Chakra Devī Śaktis. The Chakra Devī Śaktis, that means you have in your body 7 chakras. These chakras have frequencies. They are aligned beautifully with the 7 chakras, along with the other Devis. The Saptamātṛkās are violent. They are violent because they were born to capture and to bring under control the Andhaka, the ignorance. So they are violent energies. They are fierce and yet benevolent because they protect children, they protect a lot of cultural heritage, etc. But they are basically very, very fierce energy. So in your chakra system, you have these Saptamātṛkās living. And whenever there is an Andhasura born in your body, these Matrikas help you to bring you back on the track, bring you back on the spiritual path, to remind you of all that was forgotten and give you the power to win over the Andhasura within. You know, they therefore are Devis that are worth invoking to banish all of the Andhaka that is born inside of us because we are dislodged on our path. We've got lost on our path. So many lifetimes have been wasted in this ignorance and the darkness, and to bring us back on the path, they are existing within. So our today's talk is about understanding these Saptamātṛkās and what are their messages and what are the things that they can heal you of. We're going to talk about this. First of all, let us understand the alignment of these Devis as in the Chakra Devis, because the Chakras also we address them as Devis. There are Devis ruling. We teach the Lalita Sahasranama and we teach the chakras aligned with each form of the Devi, Lalita. Also, there are Mahavidyas that we align with the chakras, so there are different cultural references for these chakras. There are also gods, not just goddesses, but also gods aligned with these chakras. There are planets aligned with these chakras. The universal being, or we call him the Vaishvanara, the universal being, or the Vaishvanara, the big universal person. If you visualize the universe as a being, as a person, there is a chakra system in the universe as well. The universe is also having a chakra system. And so this chakra system is there because consciousness, which is pure Paramatma, is completely unconditioned in a sphere. I mean, beyond this creation, there is pure Paramatma, which is unconditioned consciousness. But after the unconditioned consciousness, there is conditioned consciousness, which is why we address that whole conditioned consciousness, the gamut of it, as Vaishvanara, the universal being. So there are imperfections and gunas in this conditioned consciousness. There are chakras, and there is massive accumulation of ignorance here also in the Vaishvanara. Just like we have a causal body, we have a destiny, we have a accumulation of karma. In the same way, this Vaishvanara also has accumulation of karma, which is why all the events in the world are happening. Sometimes there are floods, sometimes there are devastation happening, tsunamis happening, and the collective causal is also creating events. So this Vaishvanara also has a causal body, and in the Vaishvanara also there is Andhaka. In the Vaishvanara also there is Andhaka, which is why sometimes eras come like that everybody is lost in ignorance. And then some Satyuga comes when everybody is dawned and waking up, out of a slumber, and then suddenly there is so much of piety and purity happening. So we all go through these eras. Even the universal man is going through these eras. So to understand the chakras is to understand it from the micro point of view and also from the macro point of view. All right. So the Saptamātṛkās, as they are addressed, Brahmi, we call it Brahmi, sometimes Brahmi. Brahmi is the right pronunciation. Brahma, say Brahmi Aya. All right. From Brahma comes Brahmi. Is at the Mooladhar level, is at the root level, where earth element is very dominant. Earth element is dominant, and she is in a creative force. She is in a creative, protective force, both creative and protective. Brahma is both creative and protective. And at the Mooladhar, it is earth, solid energy. Energy that grounds you and energy that fulfills all your material goals. All right. Just let me give you a brief of all these chakra levels, and we'll talk in detail about each one of them. Okay. After Brahmi comes Indrani. So Brahmi, then Indrani. Indrani is water element. It's more water element and talks of Swadhisthana chakra, pleasure, and all the goodness that one can think about. All the goodness and all the pleasures, joys that one can think about. Opposite polarities exist in all the chakras. We'll talk about that when we go to each of the chakras. All right. So Brahmi is there, Indrani is there. Then you have Kaumari. Kaumari is aligned at the Manipura level, where Kartikeya is the corresponding male deity. Kaumari is the Manipura level, which means that the solar plexus, what we call the solar plexus, she is there. And then above that, at the heart level, we have Vaishnavi for Vishnu, corresponding deity being Vishnu. Then you have the Virahi at the throat level, just like Chinnamasta at the throat level. And then Maheshwari at the brow level, Agya level. And then Chamunda at the crown level. The Chamunda becomes an entry point into the corridors of higher Shaktis. If you see from the elements point of view, Brahmi is the earth element, your Indrani is the water element, Kaumari is the fire element, Vaishnavi is the air element, then you have the Varahi, which is the ether element, and the Maheshwari, ether at a finer level, and Chamunda, ether at the finest level. Ether is there from the throat, brow to the crown, getting finer and finer, more and more. So ether is the element that was born at the onset of creation. The first element that was made was ether, Shabda. Tanmatra being Shabda, that means sound was created first. Above Chamunda is the corridor of Kali. Above Chamunda is the corridor of Kali, Tara and Shodashi. The three gunas. Kali being Tamas, Tara being Sattva, and Shodashi being the Rajas. Alright. So Chamunda Saptamātṛkā in Saptamātṛkā, Chamunda helps you to transcend the physical and go into the transcendental ether, which means enter into consciousness itself. She is at the crown. Chamunda is at the crown. And the corresponding power is Chandi. Chandi is the corresponding power. So these Saptamātṛkās are residing, or the frequencies are corresponding to each of these chakras, and to understand what are their functions in the body, in the microsystem and also in the macrosystem is a very interesting subject. Very interesting subject. It's so amazing that how these matrikas, Nilima told me that she saw near the Vaitarni river the statues of the Saptamātṛkās there. And I haven't seen it, but I can understand how effective that site must be, because the river is a transcendental river and they are standing there, which means that when we do the Asti Visarjan, or when we burn the body and we are offering the ashes into the river, the soul which is departing he is witnessing, the soul is witnessing the Saptamātṛkās there, which are reminding the soul that this life has gone in ignorance. We are standing here to take you, to absolve you, and to take you on the other side of life. Vaitarni itself means going other side of life. Tarini. Tarini means transcending, to take you to the other side of life. And they are standing there to remind the soul that come back again and we shall help you. Come back again and we shall help you. And how do they help? Each individual, how do they help? When you do your chakra activations with the mantras, with the remembrance of the Devis, then there is purification and there is transcendence that is happening. How? First of all, when your chakras are Devi, we say they are Devi powers and Shaktis. Why should this power of Devi allow you to go into darkness, first of all? If they are agile and alive and awakened in our chakras, why do we slip into darkness then? How have we wasted so many lifetimes in darkness? It's a very big question, because the living gods in every cell of our body, there is Brahman. In every cell of our body, there is soul, there is Brahman. The energy which is moving is Sakshat Devi. Then how do we go into slumber? Why do we go into slumber? Why can't we be enlightened, born enlightened and died enlightened? It's a very big question. So the game that Shiva is playing with the Shakti, this is the game. He puts us into slumber, then he sends some form of Devi to awaken us. And then we get awakened, we transcend, we end the game, and then we are born again into a slumber. That's the game he's playing. It's like a video game. And and life after life we spend, so many lifetimes we spend in just remembering our true self, remembering the absolute. So the Saptamātṛkās which are at a lower level, that means the root level. When I say lower, it does not mean the word lower. I mean in the sequence. They are nowhere lesser. All right. So the Brahmi and Indrani and Kaumari, these three are supported by Māyā. These three Devis are supported by Māyā, strongly supported by Māyā. And they are in fact, Māyā incarnate. They are Māyā incarnate. And they tie people, these three Devis, they tie people and they absolve them. It's a game. Again, a game played by consciousness. They entrap people and then they help them release through the trap. The lower chakras, your Muladhara chakra, Swadhisthana and Manipura, these are called worldly chakras. They are called worldly chakras and they create a trap, worldly trap. What kind of a trap? Vitteṣaṇā, Putreṣaṇā and Lokeṣaṇā. These three traps are created. Kanchan, Kamini and Kirti. These three traps are created. Kanchan, Vitteṣaṇā means that material needs. All the time our mind is thinking constantly into how can I become prosperous, or either you are on the sustaining game, you're struggling for sustenance, or you are struggling with insatiable hunger to grow, or you want to become richer, abundance. We give more graceful terms these days as abundance and, more acceptable to our conscience that no, I'm not pursuing money, I'm pursuing abundance. So, it is a trap. Wherever there is no light of awareness, any of these chakras and the hunger of these chakras can trap us. Whenever and wherever there is no light of awareness, you should never forget this statement. When there is no light of awareness, that means there is inside of you, there is a voice that should be saying everything. For example, if you're pursuing money, nothing wrong in it. The world has been created by him. He has created money. He has created you and he has created the desire. He has planted the desire and he is asking you to pursue the desire. He will absolve me of the desire. He says, everything is him only. I am not there. So, if you are observant that, okay, I feel ambitious. Okay, I want to pursue this. Okay, I feel the urge to do this. And to be competitive or to achieve something. If there is a me in me that watches the me all the time, if there is a you in you that watches you all the time, which is all the time noting down how the desire is coming and how you get the energy to do what you're doing and how you're pursuing and how much time you're spending, how religiously, meticulously you're working. If there's an observation all the time, that awareness, if it is alive, that means if the light of awareness is alive, then you shall transcend the world, rise above all these traps and go towards Shiva. Alright, so the awareness has to be very, very great. Let us understand this trap, Kanchan, Kamini, Kirti. The material trap is something that comes from a basic need of survival, first of all. That we have to earn bread, butter, we need a home to live in, we need this, married, you have children, the children have to grow up, I have to provide for the education, I have to pay all the bills. It comes from basics, starts with basic sustenance. And once the basic sustenance part is over, then it has a self-generating power. Then it creates more desire for better lifestyle. For example, there are people who have bread and butter on the table, they have everything, basic furniture is there, everything is there, but life mein maza nahi aa raha hai. Something more interesting has to happen, and then you look at things people are using. They're using a better car, they're having a better thing, brands are being used, and their house is a little bigger. 2-bedroom house is not enough. We need at least 5. Because I get guests sometimes and one child needs one, and you justify in your mind and create a need for the 5-bedroom house, etc. So it's a self-generating, the Vitteṣaṇā is a self-generating kind of energy. It's not a trap, you feel it's a 1-foot trap, okay, I go sit in the trap. Then the moment I'm coming out of it, it becomes 2-feet trap. It goes more deeper inside. It's like a daldal. That I come out a little and it takes you more inside. It sucks you more inside. We see a lot of people who are really rich, but then they are not happy with what they have. They have a higher goal. And then there are so many motivational programs. The corporate always teaches you to be hungry, eternally hungry. You achieve one target and they say that, no, this is not the end of it. You have to set another target for the next month and another and another and another. They teach you discontentment, and so there are many things, vitamins that are there in the world that nourish this Vitteṣaṇā. So many vitamins are there that will nourish this, teach you to aim for something higher and higher and higher. Putreṣaṇā, that comes at the Swadhisthāna level. Putreṣaṇā is desire for love, pleasure, and procreation being a part of it. We want to, you want to leave your footprints behind on earth, and then you want to be known, I want to live my full purpose to my fullest potential and I want to bloom. We have beautiful phrases and words these days that give us deeper understanding of what we really desire. Putreṣaṇā is like leaving your mark behind. Your ego does not want to die and it wants to leave behind. Sometimes it is literally the urge to have children and the urge to have a legacy, leave a legacy behind. Early people would die to have a hire for the family, someone that can carry the name of the family. What is there in a name? The name does not have anything at all. why is anybody having the urge to have someone, a child, to carry the name? What is there to carry a name? Your name does not belong to anyone. When you die, it's forgotten. Then you take another name. How important is your name? So that desire to eternally keep living here on earth. You want somebody. I heard a story that day. The man was on the deathbed and he made his son bring all the albums to choose the picture he wants to be put on the wall, after he dies. And I was laughing my heart out. I said, did he choose the frame also? And did he choose the garland which should be there on? So it's like that's a Putreṣaṇā. There is excessive attachment to who you are. And you want, your grandchildren, you're feeding them. Never forget, I said this. And you write autographs, you sign books, and you want to leave yourself here on the earth because you know your body will die one day. So it's again an insatiable desire to keep living in some form or the other. People make foundations, they make trust, and they make, with their names, they just want to keep continuing being here on earth. That is Putreṣaṇā. This urge does not allow you to go and dissolve in consciousness. Going and dissolving in consciousness means your identity is over. When the drop of water goes back into the glass, you can't trace it. You can't trace it, this was me. So the me does not want to dissolve in the water. Yeah? It wants to remain that pink color always there. Like that. Then Lokeṣaṇā. Lokeṣaṇā is in the line, the third trap, which is for people who don't have Vitteṣaṇā and Putreṣaṇā. Suppose they have escaped due to some reason out of their Sādhanā and Tapascaryā. Lokeṣaṇā will trap them, for sure. It will trap them. That means Lokeṣaṇā is like Kirti. Kirti means yash. The name. My name has to shine and I should be known as a good person. And that's why sannyasi people, you see they throw their name. They throw their name and they take on to another name. But this Kirti and this Lokeṣaṇā is smarter than the sannyasi. Because the new name also you get attached to. The new name also you want to see whether the spelling is right or not. I pointed it out yesterday on some card, my spelling, one A was missing. So I pointed out yesterday there's no A there. And then somebody was laughing inside me, oh, you want that A there. So as long as the awareness is there, it's a joke, it's good. But if the awareness is not there, people take things very seriously with the name. They take things so seriously with the name. Because this Lokeṣaṇā is a very, very strong trap. Kirti. All big people, famous people, people who are gifted, talented, they all fall in this trap. Everybody falls in this trap. And it's very difficult to come out of this trap because then you have to become someone who does not have a name at all. Only then can you can consciously develop detachment to this. So, the lower three Saptamātṛkās, they help you come out of this trap. First of all, they support the Chakra Devis to trap you because it's the command of Māyā. They are also bound to Māyā. The Saptamātṛkās also bound to Māyā because Shiva created them to remove this Andhaka. However, everybody in all kinds and all frequencies of energy on working here in the universe have to be under the command of Māyā because Māyā was the first condition that creation was created. Because Shiva, the process of creation for all of you, just a brief, many of you have already heard my videos and how did the process of creation happen? There was universal consciousness. There was just this beautiful energy of consciousness. There was nothing. There was no creation. No buildings, no trees, no human beings, no animals, nothing. It was a dead field. Shiva is dead, Shava. Without Shakti, they say Shiva is Shava. It's like a dead body. There was no creation. Nothing was there. Just this pulsating potential energy was there. So Shiva had an urge to not be Shiva but become Shiva. And had this urge that there has to be color and there has to be a universe. But he couldn't do it himself because he was potential energy. You need kinetic energy for the creation. So he started this churning within him. He started this churning and movement of energy within him. We say that the Rudras and the Maruts created this churning, and Shakti was created. Shakti was created. So Shakti is Shiva in motion. Shakti is Shiva in motion. Alright? So when Shakti was created, the first thing that was declared was that this Shakti is going to be the Māyā Shakti. It's going to be the Māyā Shakti. This Shakti's first application would be Māyā, which means that the creation is under the grip of Māyā, under the grip of delusion, under the grip of illusion. Alright, this was the first condition. If Māyā, the wheel of Māyā is taken away, then Shiva is visible naked. You can see Shiva naked. If Māyā is removed, then you know consciousness, the truth, the absolute, the moment the wheel of Māyā goes away. So the Saptamātṛkās and many other Devis in our culture that we speak about, they were created to fulfill some basic purpose on this earth, and ultimate purpose of all the Devis is transcendence and taking you back into Shiva. That is the ultimate purpose. So even the Saptamātṛkās, first they support the whole Chakra Devis, to trap you into the, Kanchan, Kamini, Kirti. Then they help you to release you from this trap. Then where do you go when you are released from the trap? Then you come on the upper levels. When these lower chakras are with the worldly realms, they are, with the worldly issues, then once you, and this happens after hundreds of lifetimes, okay, not one lifetime. Hundreds of lifetimes you are switching between Putreṣaṇā, Vitteṣaṇā, Lokeṣaṇā. Hundreds of lifetimes. Gurudev says after 100 lives, out of 108 human lives, when you finish 100 lives in Andhaka, then you come into Jāgṛti, you come into awakening. When you are awakened, then you consciously leave, at least try to leave the 3 allurements, lower allurements. Then where do you come? You come to the heart level. You come to the heart level where compassion is born, empathy is born, where there is consideration, where there is deep desire to understand love, deep desire to understand one and all, deep desire to break all the walls, deep desire to experience this whole universe as one. The heart. When you come at the heart, which is Vaishnavi, so again, both the roles she is playing. She will involve you in affairs of the heart. She will involve you in the affairs of the heart. Out of the blue, you get entangled in stories. You get entangled in stories. Oh, my soulmate, my twin flame. And all of these stories start, you're entangled, you're lost. And age is not a criteria for this. Any time it can happen, because she will entangle you. And then these experiences are also important. Everybody and anybody, when you go through these experiences, then you come closer to the truth, because then Viraha is understood. Viraha is understood when there is love, and in that love you experience separation. Viraha means separation. Then you question, why was this love there at all? If I have to experience separation, then why did this come at all in my life? And in that Viraha, you contemplate on the Viraha with your absolute lover, which is Shiva. With your absolute lover, which is Shiva, you start experiencing the love for God when you come in your evolution to the heart level. When you have escaped the lower levels and then you have come to the heart level, there will be entanglement for sure. And in that entanglement and after that entanglement, you will experience Viraha, you will experience Dukkha, you will experience grief of some kind. And through that will pierce true love. You will understand true love. And then transcendence happens. The heart is air element. Vaishnavi is air element. Change comes in your life. Air means change. Air means the winds of change. Change will come into your life. Maybe in one lifetime, or sometimes people, for transcending from the lower chakras to the upper chakras, sometimes we spend many lifetimes. It's not necessary, it's a one lifetime journey, sometimes many lifetimes. So after this, you transcend and you come into the Vishuddhi. which is the Varahi. You know, the Vishuddhi is purification of prana. Purification of prana. Here, now, the Andhaka is put on an acid test. The Andhaka is put on an acid test. All your ignorance is given a trial, a final trial. If you escape and if you win over, who has to win over? Who has to win over? The awareness in you has to win over. The awareness, first of all, has to be born. First of all, you have to cultivate the awareness, and this awareness should be nurtured with your sadhana. So this entire journey of the Saptamātṛkās is, and the metaphor that we spoke, the story that we spoke, is all about transformation, building awareness, commitment, sadhana, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. It's a journey of transformation from first of all getting lost, then finding that you are lost, you realize you are lost, then you develop awareness, you grow, you commit to sadhana, you come into purification, and then you take a deep commitment to doing dharana, dhyan, samadhi. That's how you will meet the Shiva. Alright? So at this level, at the throat level, the commitment comes in the sadhak. Because it's the purification of prana, you will meet a person, you will meet a guru, you will meet someone who gives you the importance of doing mantra japa, meditation, and gives you a better, higher purpose to live, gives you direction. Mentor mil jata hai, you find a guru, you find someone, you read a book. Sometimes a book can become your guru. You know, because the Guru Tattva is working on you, because you are at ether now. So if you have come at ether, then the universal Tattva will support your growth and will give you something that will awaken you. You know, it will just awaken you. When I was small, somebody said to somebody that you are not even doing Atharva Shisha. I was a small child then. I didn't know what was Atharva Shisha. But that somebody said to somebody that you are not even doing Atharva Shisha went penetrated deep into my head. And I remembered that as if it was a command coming for me. Whereas it was not said for me. It was said for someone saying it to someone. The sentence remained in my mind, and later on I got into the sadhana with Atharva Shisha for years together. You know, so universe teaches you, the Tattva teaches you, Shiva teaches you himself. You know, and at this level when you come, if you have escaped the Kanchan, Kamini, Kirti traps and you have sailed through the turmoils of the heart, and given in, to the Viraha, and the true Viraha is experience. You know, when two lovers separate and they experience Viraha, fortunate people understand that this experience is that of the ultimate lover and not of the physical lover. Few people are fortunate to understand that I am not craving for this person who is not there in my life. I am actually craving for God. Very few. You're fortunate, and if you understand that, then you will transcend and go to Vishuddhi. At Vishuddhi, there is purification of all your prana happening, and a lot of these andhaks are killed in this purification. At this point, sadhana comes into the person's life. Deep sadhana comes into the person's life because he's taken into Tapascaryā. The higher levels are all about tapas. Higher levels means the Ajna Chakra, which is Maheshwari, and then Chamunda at the crown level. If a person is able to transcend all the vagaries that are offered by the lower chakras, then he will come into absolute Tapascaryā, and the blessings of Saptamātṛkās help the person to transcend this physical world and enter into the higher frequencies. So Saptamātṛkās are now the basic. When you read on internet and when you read books, there are some very good books on Saptamātṛkās also. I was exploring yesterday, and I'm going to read them. You know, so people who decode and try to give you wisdom out of these stories. You know, the easiest understanding of the Saptamātṛkās comes with Shadvargas, you know, the Shadripus which are there, the defects of the mind. You know, there are 6 of them, and 7th is a sum total. Chamunda is a sum total. That means Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, and Ahankar, Alasya, Bhaya. Ahankar, Alasya, Bhaya come in the 7th category. So, all of these Devis, these Ripus are there, these impurities are there. Where are they residing? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, they are residing in the causal body, and they are residing as vasanas, and they are residing as desires. They reside as desires and experiences of past life. Kama, Krodha come because of why would someone have Krodha, anger? Why would someone get anger? Some person is very angry. Why is he angry? From where does this anger come? Unfulfilled desires and frustration create anger in a person that can come out anytime on anyone. Unfulfilled desires and frustration accumulated for several lives is residing as a vasana inside. Vasana is like a smell. Vasana is like a smell. You cook some very good dish in a bowl, some very good dish, and you empty the bowl. The smell of that dish remains in the bowl. That is like vasana. Your experiences of past life remain as vasanas in your causal body, and these vasanas give you expectations and they give you hunger. When those are not fulfilled, then anger comes. Anger comes out of desire. And when you don't find things as per your expectations, then anger comes. Similarly, kama. Kama is desires again. Kama, Krodha go together. A lot of desires. You die. Let's say somebody was a saint. Somebody was a sadhu. And he was on his deathbed. And suddenly he remembers, what have I done to my life? I wasted my life as a monk. At least I should have married. At least I should have had some money. I see the whole world is enjoying and I am dying here with torn clothes and nothing in my hand. Even that one moment of thought on his deathbed will put him in a life which is trying to fulfill that desire. So he will inevitably be born again to marry, to pursue money, gone. Another 5-6 lifetimes gone. Snakes and ladders, yes. Yes, mokshapatam. Correct. It's like that. So, desires are kama and krodha. These two are big vices which are there, for which the Saptamātṛkās have been given the command by Shiva to completely eradicate them out of the system. Because if a person has to rise and transcend all of these lower and come to Shiva, these vices have no place. They have to be completely eradicated and dissolved. Alright? So, kama, krodha, lobha, greed. Greed is another form of desire. Greed is another form of desire. You have this and one dupatta is there, at least let me have another spare one. What if this one gets torn? So we buy another one, then it goes on. People have one car, they say the son has to use sometimes, we need 2 cars, so the 2 cars. It goes on. And it is attached, supported and nurtured by envy and jealousy both. Matsarya, is supporting the lobha. It supports Matsarya because it makes the hunger bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger. Whatever is your... I met somebody who is some 150 CR company. The other day I met one lady, single-handed. She has managed to grow into such a big company, and there's twinkle in her eyes, and she said this year is going to be fantastic for us because the AI has come and this and that, and I am expecting a jump of another 100 CR this year. So I said, then what about this 150 which is already there? She said, so it's like when you sit quietly and sit in Shanti, then you understand how much do you require, what do you require for. What do you require for and how much do you require? So sometimes it becomes a game. This greed, this lobha and matsarya becomes a game for people. It's just the high, of achieving more and more and more and more. It gives them a high. But if the awareness is there, then it is perfectly all right. See, you play the game of life with awareness, then the game of life can be played very colorfully. Not a problem. But there should be deep awareness and detachment. Deep awareness and very deep detachment. That means at any time you are ready to strike it. At any time you are ready to leave whatever. No problem. Then there is no problem. You can play with Shiva endlessly. You can play with Māyā endlessly. There is no problem at all. So, kama, krodha, lobha, moha. Moha is attachment. Again, very, 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 very sticky kind of you get moha. Moha means attachment. You have a child, you are attached to the child. You have a house, you are attached to the house. Papers, you are attached to. There are people who are attached to saris, people who are attached to utensils in the house. Yes, utensils in the house. This is my plate that my mother gave me, and I can't part with it. and photographs, letters, and the drawers are full of it. The folders in the computer are full of it. All pictures, and there's attachment, moha for everything. Moha for everything, small little thing to large things. I understand moha that comes for children of a parents, because we grow with them. We grow with them. That moha is understandable at least. Moha for Bhagwan is also understood. That, we have attachment even to our Ishta Devata. So much attachment, some people get into the trap. The trap is bad. Attachment per se is not bad. If the attachment is watched by the awareness, then it's not bad. But if you get into the trap, then people fight for the Ishta Devatas also. Oh, the only Shiva is the ultimate God. There is no other God, they say. Similarly, somebody is a Krishna follower and he says only those who are following Krishna will live in the coming century. Everybody else will die. As if it is the game of some name, Similarly, so when you follow gods, goddesses, is perfect. You have your awareness, then that will save you of trap. Even god, goddesses can become a trap. Otherwise it can put you down into that, you fall into that, then you are walled, you are caged, then your head gets caged, then you are in a barricade, then you don't see other gods and goddesses, oneness is out of question. Oneness is out of question, then you become a commune and a community and you're not ready to look beyond that. So centralization of power, even if it is God oriented, then it's bad, right? So openness, and also only Saptamātṛkās can save you. They say that those Devi forces that can save you of all kinds of dangers, because they drank the blood of Andhaka. They drank the blood. That means you finish it at the root cause. They finish things at the root cause. Alright? In fact, all the Devis do that. If you look into Navadurga, you look into the Shamahavidyas, they are all aligned to the Chakra Devis, and all of these, the bhakti done on any of these Devis. Our tradition is so kind, so benevolent and so gracious that we have so many options for bhakti. So many options for bhaktis. And they all take you to the same Paramatma. There is only one Paramatma. There is only one God in the universe. There are not several Paramatmas. The absolute is only one. You can't divide, it's not dividable. You cannot kill it, you cannot make it. It's just one. Absolutely indescribable, fathomless. And so out of this one Paramatma, all the faiths in the world have come out. All the faiths in the world, all the different names of cultures have come out, gods, goddesses, millions of them, not only in India but also other faiths, other countries. You have Chinese goddesses, Japanese gods, goddesses, and Greek, so many of them, Egyptians, all of them come under this consciousness, one consciousness. I say that in everyone there is God, in God everyone is. We are living in God. We are living in the womb of God. The creation is happening in the womb of God. So the child Andhaka was adopted by Hiranyakash, the Aksha, Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha is what is Hiranyaksha? The eyes of Hiranyagarbha. Aksha means eyes. The eyes of Hiranyagarbha. When there is ignorance that you fall for, if you get into any trap of wrong belief or get deluded completely, then the Hiranyagarbha looks at you. The Hiranyagarbha looks at you and will absorb you, because that's Māyā. It will absorb you and it will adopt you. That's why he adopted that child. He adopted that blind child. So Hiranyagarbha looks at you, the universe and the Māyā is looking at you, and it will absorb you. Take like a vacuum completely. Okay, here you come, play the game actively well. And then you start playing that game. It's like that. So at the throat level, there is Varahi, and she absolves you of all the impurities and takes you into pure ether. Pure ether is handed over to Maheshwari. Handed over to Maheshwari. Here, Maheshwari is consort Mahesh. That means the male counterpart is Mahesh, which is Shiva itself. Shiva, what is the difference between Shiva and Mahesh? This also you should know. Shiva is a collective noun and it is one. The word Shiva is used for consciousness itself. It is a synonym for consciousness itself. Shiva-Shakti, as per the Sankhya philosophy in India, Sankhya philosophy is one of the oldest darshanas, one of the schools of thought. Shiva-Shakti are names given not to a person, but the masculine and the feminine polarities, which are responsible for the entire creation. All right. So the word Shiva is a collective noun. It's like almost synonymous to consciousness. Whereas Mahesh is more of an incarnation, which looks like the Shiva picture that you see. The blue Shiva that sits in Samādhi meditation. Mahesh is that. So Maheshwari here, this chakra is called Ajna. This chakra is called Rudra Swarup also. There is Rudra here. The deity is very powerful. The Maruts are very strong here. The force of this chakra is Pravaha. Pravaha means flow. Pravaha means flow. In your this thing, Jatati Vigalajwala Pravaha Pavitastale. Pravaha means flow. It flows like a tsunami. That's the kind of force which is there here. And this chakra controls the entire prana. It controls the entire Tapascaryā, the power of Tapascaryā, the austerities, penance, all the higher efforts put in by us for transcendence has a control here, which means Maheshwari controls and assists and gives you and absolves you and takes you higher in Tapascaryā. She takes us higher in Tapascaryā. Alright, that is at the Ajna and a finer ether. That means, what is finer ether? Ether is here also, and ether is here also. This ether is connected with the rest of the elements and has Shabda, very solid, and has sound as Tanmatra, very solid. This ether has silence, the sound is missing. Yes, the sound is not yet created, it's not there. And this ether is on the borderline of consciousness. So it's getting finer and finer. The Akash Tattva, Akash Agni, Akash Vayu Agni Apah Prithvi. The Panchabhutas are there, the Akash is here. This is heavy because sound is already born. Whereas this is lighter and this is the lightest. This goes into the corridor of pure consciousness. Alright. So Saptamātṛkās, at the end, at the crown is Chamunda. Chamunda is handing over the sadhaka to the corridors of Kali. She's handing over the sadhaka into the corridors of Kali. That means in the highest form of ether, you have transcended and are close to consciousness. So when a sadhak crosses this level of the crown chakra, or the Chamunda level of the Saptamātṛkās, then the higher form of the Devi takes over the sadhak. And this sadhak will be taught everything personally by the Guru Tattva. Everything taught personally by the Devi itself. He or she will do what needs to be done for that salvation, for that nirvana, for that absolute transcendence. This is what is the role of the Saptamātṛkās here, on earth. And a tradition that is very old, Saptamātṛkā tradition is very old. Probably earlier times in the tantric traditions they were spoken about. When the 64 64 Yogini tradition was there. The 64 Yogini tradition also is kind of picturized. The yoginis are picturized and then they lived like that. 64 yoginis are the sevikas of Bhairavi. It comes under Bhairavi Tantra. The whole tradition comes under Bhairavi Tantra. Under Bhairavi there were these 64 powers that were subservient to Bhairavi, and she would get all the work done. And so slowly these 64 yoginis were given names and the forms. They were given names and forms and temples were made. We have 64 yogini temples. They lived, they were worshipped at that time, and the tantrics used to sit and activate them and would, Jāgṛti, do their Jāgṛti. However, it is now almost gone into extinction. Very few people are there, those who are practicing that yogini tantra. So this was about the Saptamātṛkās.